GTA Online's Mansion DLC, or A Safehouse in the Hills DLC, is already shaping up to be quite a disappointment. As we were leading up to the new missions, we also had this image here. And as pointed out by Lucas on Twitter at the time, you could see one of the mansions being shown. But I was thinking to myself, this looks familiar to me. I've seen this somewhere before. And I started looking around in the Vinewood Hills, but I couldn't find it. Until today, when Rockstar posted a trailer and showed us a full widescreen of what the mansion was going to look like. And then I was like, I recognize this shape from somewhere. And then someone on Twitter said the same thing and made a comparison.
No, 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 no.
Yes, the mansion is the exact carbon copy of Devon Weston's mansion. Now, mind you, they have of course done noticeable changes to it by adding some more props to it, etc., and obviously also having the tub hovering over it, but that might also be something that is exclusive to a particular mansion. But it does appear that this is basically going to be the mansion for literally everyone, and the only thing that's going to be different is going to be the location, of which there will be 3. Now obviously this is something that is nitpicky. You can argue, hey, that's totally fine, they're using the base model of an existing mansion and then save themselves time and resources given the fact that they are working on GTA 6. However, not only am I really curious about what the rest of the DLC is going to look like, because we have only got a 16-second trailer of which there's virtually nothing except for, I guess, the image of what is 4 cars and also a mansion. The fact that it's not even an entire new building is, to me, a little disappointing. Mansion DLC is supposed to be this big thing that we've been waiting for such a long time, and to kind of see what it feels a little bit like a cop-out where we get the exact same carbon copy of Devon Weston mansion with a few extra things like you probably would in like a 5M server is kind of crap in my opinion. Now, obviously, it is very much worth pointing out that the technology that they're using, where you would probably be able to see the inside interior from the outside dynamically and without loading screens and that sort of stuff, which is going to be very impressive. Though I would personally think that it is something that is only going to be happening on the enhanced versions of the game. Mind you, that remains to be seen. If it is something that they're pulling off on the PS4 and Xbox One versions, I will be genuinely impressed. Especially if that means that if you get close to the building and it doesn't crash the game or tank the FPS even lower, then heads off to the devs. Obviously, this is Rockstar, and they've been pulling off similar things for the longest time, even something along the lines of Red Dead Redemption 2 and its online component, where that is already a thing. Mind you, in Red Dead Online, there are not entire glass buildings where you'll probably be able to see it from a distance. Again, speculation, time will tell. But this does not bode well for me even more when my breath is already being held by how exactly the gameplay is going to be of this DLC. Because while the mansion itself definitely looks very fancy and it genuinely looks good, even though it's like the same structure as Devon Weston House, but taking that aside and just taking for what it is, it genuinely looks good. And it's going to be very interesting to see how that interior stuff is going to work, and that is something I'm very curious about. However, my point is still standing. Where exactly is the gameplay coming from? Because if there is anything to go by from the 3 missions that we got from the teasers leading up to this DLC, it ain't looking great. Again, I'm going in there with an open mind, but I'm also going in there with a hefty amount of skepticism and oh boy, here we go. It would be extremely disappointing if the mentioned DLC, the thing that is part meme, part something that people have been screaming about for years, will end up being just a carbon copy of Devon Weston's house with a couple of extra props. Again, That's me just being more harsh than I should be, but I think that's kind of like the feeling that a lot of people are going to have, given the fact that that is what is kind of seemingly shaping up to be. I am not gonna sit here and say that doing an entire map change like this and the technology that's going to be behind the DLC itself is not gonna be anything beyond like being impressive. But what I am saying is at the end of the day, this is still an online game that people want to play, and a fancy mansion to look at will probably be interesting for about 30 minutes to an hour, and then it's like, oh, that's interesting, I'm right next to the mansion where the Kyberiko finale ends. Maybe it's something new to look at. I don't know. Regardless, that's just some of the thoughts and impressions I guess I have about said mansion, and my concerns with them. I will not bore you any further. Thank you very much for watching. Let me know your thoughts down below. And hopefully I'm wrong. I really hope that I'm wrong, because we've heard nothing about the gameplay yet. And it might also be slightly concerning.